Hey guys, Justin again here with Chris. We're now have this cabinet all set and ready for leveling. Like I told you in the previous video, it's important to get this first cabinet set centered on this window, so that way everything that goes left to right with it can be in its proper place, and also we can ensure that this thing does sit exactly centered on this. Now some other people might have another way to do that. Maybe they're really good at measuring off of one of those far walls. I do it this way because in an old house like this, you don't know if maybe it's a 1/4 inch off at the bottom and then a 1/4 inch off at the top. You go to measure all this and then you end up an inch to the left of your line. And when somebody's looking at that faucet, it's going to make a big difference in my mind that that's nice and centered on that center beam of that window. So that's why we went ahead and do that. So now we're going to move our attention over to our level. With cabinets, ideally, they are leveled not only front to back, but also left to right. The reason why this is so important is so that way all the cabinets look uniform on the front, but also when you go to place your counter on top, everything sits smooth like it's supposed to. Also, if you have something sitting on it that's round, last thing anyone wants is it rolling off the front of the cabinet or left to right or something like that. So this is ideally the way to do this. So we've got our cabinet set in place. We've got it centered where we like it. Now we have our level sitting front to back. What we notice is this sitting pretty, it's almost level, okay? It's between the lines. It could get a little bit better. If you lift this thing up, we're really in those lines now. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to add a little bit of shimming, which is a small piece of wood that looks like a wedge, goes underneath the front of this cabinet, tilted up just so slightly, so that way it's really sitting the way we want to. We'll show you what we got going on next. Now that we've got it tested level to the front to the back, we know we need to add shims to the front. We're ready to check the level on left to right. So our level on left to right is telling us that we do need to raise the left side of that cabinet up, let's say about maybe between 1/8 and 1/4 inch to get that to sit correctly. And it's showing the same thing front to back. This can happen a lot of times with an older house where you got an older floor. Some people would use floor leveling compound, try to level all that out before they put the cabinets in. It's completely unnecessary. You could go ahead and just use shims, get everything going left to right proper, and it'll be good enough. So this is what we're going to do next, is put some shims in there. We just got done putting our shims underneath 3 corners of this cabinet. So when we tested this for level, front to back and left to right, what we found is this cabinet needed to be tilted up and back at the same time that this side needed to be raised as well. So what we did is down here, we pushed our shim in just enough to get this thing tilted back the way it needs to be for it to be a level front to back. Then we came over here. We added the shim into this back corner here to finally get it level from left to right. So you sit your level on top of the cabinet there, and you see we're pretty well perfectly between those lines. That means this cabinet is all good and ready to mount to the wall. Go ahead and reach out to us in the comments section, and you can ask us whatever questions you have too. And just to let you know as well, if you own a laser level or a number of other tools can help you out with this project. A lot of what we did right here is we wanted to show you that even a homeowner with a couple levels, some tape measures, some shims, and a screw gun could easily go ahead and set their cabinets in. It may not be as perfect as the best carpenter in the world, but by God, it's good enough. And once the counter's on this and the floor's in, it'll look like a professional did it anyways. Guys, we're back here in the kitchen where we got these cabinets temporarily set. I just kind of wanted to walk through what we did to get it to this point for you guys, so that way you know how all this came together. So in the last video, we had set this primary sink kitchen cabinet as our first thing that we were going to set in. And so here in this kitchen cabinet, we did all the cutouts and we got it slid in there. And very minimal shimming was required. As you can see down here in the bottom, we did have to put a little bit of shim in the front just to kind of lift that edge up to bring it close to where this one is and to level it up. So right here we have this one already set just the way we wanted it. It was all level front to back. And then we slid this little 18-inch cabinet right over next to it. This guy, as soon as you set it into the floor, it was kicked forward and also leaning that way. And so immediately upon setting that on the floor, what you can do is you get yourself a nice 4-foot, 5-foot, or in this case maybe a 6-foot level here, and you can take it and you can put it across your primary cabinet just like that. And what this will allow you to do is it'll allow you to see the variance between where this cabinet sits and where this one's sitting. So when this cabinet didn't have the shims under it, this cabinet was hanging out this way underneath this line here, hanging down like that, and it was also hanging forward like this. So because of that, what we did is we went ahead and we lifted this up a little bit here to get it to the same height as this one. Then we applied more shimming on that side to adjust that height upward over there. And then on this back side here, there is no shims at all. And the reason why there are no shims at all there is because it was actually kicked forward when it first started. So now all of this is sitting flush back and forth. And so we'll show you with the level. So you can see it's now perfectly level back and forth. And then with the large level, you can see that it's level left and right. And it's also, this cabinet is also level to this cabinet. Okay? So that's how we managed that. Now, moving on to an even trickier one. So between this sink cabinet and this other 36-inch cabinet, we'll have a dishwasher. This can throw things off a little bit if you're not careful. A couple ways that things can get thrown off is if your wall on the back is not sitting plumb, as in sometimes in an old house, a wall can be kicked back like this, or it can also be kicked out or kicked forward like that. It's an older house. So a lot of times what you're doing is your goal is to try to not only get this cabinet to the same level as these cabinets here, but you're also wanting to get the front of that cabinet lined up as close as you can to the fronts of these cabinets. So that way you don't have a huge variance between where this one's sticking out or in compared to these ones. So I know that might sound like a lot, and that might be a lot to think about. Let's break it down. First, we'll start with leveling out our cabinet. So the same way that we did this cabinet over here, we can take our big level and we can set it right over the top of this cabinet. You can then move this cabinet right into place, and upon moving this cabinet into place, what we immediately found is this side of the floor is way lower over here than this side over here. And the reason for that is this kitchen is actually an addition to this old house, and it's likely that when they set the foundation in for this side of the house for the addition, it might have been up higher and this whole floor tapers down towards the original part of the house. And that would make sense because everything kind of was running downhill from that side over to here. Getting into how we made this happen. So once the cabinet was set down, we could see how far away from the bottom of this level to the top of this cabinet it was. Okay? If you've got a tape measure, you can measure the distance between here and the top of your cabinet. And that measurement between here and the top of the cabinet is going to tell you exactly how much shim work you need to put down underneath here to lift that cabinet up to the right height. In this case, it came out to about 3/8 of an inch. So almost a whole ½ inch underneath here. And so what ended up happening is a 3/8 of an inch came in here. On the back side of the cabinet on that side, also 3/8 of an inch. And that's what got this side of the cabinet up to the right height of this level. Okay? Then, once you get that set in place and you know your level there, you can move your level down and it's going to reveal to you how far off this end is compared to the end that's now been leveled. And then you can measure that distance between here And if you've got a helping hand, the helping hand can hold on to this side of the level so that way you can really see that measurement there. If you don't have a helping hand, another thing you can do is get one of those power clamps, and you can take it and you can clamp it from here to here, and this will hold this level tight to this end of the cabinet, which is also level, and then you can see what your difference is down there. So those power clamps, boy, they can come in handy. So after doing that, we measured the distance between here and the top of the cabinet there, and that let us know how far away from the floor we were. So as you can see over here, we actually are almost an inch off the floor right here on this end to get this thing up to level. Hey guys, we're back here at the kitchen cabinets in the kitchen, getting ready to attach them to the walls. And so far what we've done is we've reset all the cabinets to where they needed to be with shims underneath them. And then because the way the wall is, it's an older house, the wall's tilted back that way as well slightly, or tilted in at the bottom slightly. Either way, we got the bottom of the cabinet pushed tight to the wall. We found that we had this big gap up here. Everything's sitting level and flush elsewhere. So what we're going to do is just put these shims right behind here before we go ahead and mount it to the wall. Now why you're going to do this is so that way when you go to put this screw into the wall, you don't warp your entire cabinet by trying to suck that tight to your stud or to your backer board there. So you put this shim back here so that way nothing moves on you. Once again, there might be other people who have other ideas on how to do it. This is the way that we chose to do it here. We kind of are going with a way for somebody, even if you're a homeowner, you can go ahead and do it this way. You can go just buy yourself a bag of some old shims and go ahead and get right to going. So we'll go ahead and put this in right now. Right here, we've got about a 2.5 inch cabinet screw. This will make sure that we get all the way through these shims, this box surround, and then into the backing back there. Oh, it's worthy to note too, before we go ahead and start this, it's a good idea to go ahead and use a drill bit to go ahead and at least put a pilot hole through your cabinet box. And the reason why you want to do that is a lot of this MDF has just got a piece of contact paper over it. And if you try to go right through, boy, you can mangle it up pretty bad. So if you run a pre-drill through that, you'll get a nice clean shot in. Now, you saw what I just did right there. I ran it all the way to the end, and you heard that little pop from this impact driver. You're not going to want to go much farther beyond that point. If you go farther beyond that point, what's going to happen is you're going to suck that in tighter to the wall than what it has to be, and then you're going to warp your cabinet. The best thing is just to get it tight, snug, so that way it doesn't fall away from the wall. That's all we need for that. So moving on over here, same thing. Just enough. And you'll notice this move just a little bit once that sits tight to it. You don't need it to go any further than that. That's good enough. So for example, once this is all said and done, you'll cut these excess shim off. You got them attached to the back there. The cabinet won't move anywhere underneath that counter once it comes in. It's a nice, good set. And just so you guys know, that's pretty much the plan for the rest of these cabinets going all the way down the line. We'll go through, shim out the back as needed, pre-drill our holes, go ahead and set it to the back there, cut these shims off, and then go ahead and get ready to put our countertops on. So just to kind of let you know in advance, the game plan after we get this set in is to go ahead and use these laminate countertops that we got to put over the top of them. Laminate countertops are a really nice entry-level counter that you yourself can install. A lot of people are going with Corian, quartz, or granite for this because this is just a flip to get the house ready to sell. We went ahead and chose a really nice looking, I'd say mid-grade laminate. That way it's something we ourselves can install. We can get it right from the store, get it right in budget, and it's a great way to go. It'll still look really nice. So join us for the next video. Thanks.